So the first thing I want to do to cause an injury, I need to get my body weight in there. I need to penetrate. And in this case, I'm going to penetrate between his feet with my right leg, throwing my entire body weight into him, and I'm going to terminate all of that kinetic energy that I'm putting into him through my forearm. So I'm going to move my entire body weight into him, but he's going to eat my entire body weight up with the forearm across the throat. So my target is the throat. I want to crush the throat, start him asphyxiating. The other special thing about this is that the spinal reflex for being struck in the throat that way is going to be to have the head's going to go back, and as the top of the torso and the head move backwards, the arms are going to flare up. That's just simple physics, number one, because as this torso moves back, the arms are going to go forward due to inertia. The other thing that's going to happen here is it's part of the spinal reflex, because a strike to the throat makes the hands want to come toward the throat. Because I know this ahead of time, so even before I've injured him, I know that this arm over here is going to want to track through an arc something like this. I know that ahead of time, and what that means is I can predict how he's going to move, because I know once I injure him, I know exactly how he's going to move. And so by predicting that, I can simply put this other hand out on the arc that his hand is going to travel on to make sure that I get a hold of it. So just to be clear, I'm not trying to do something where I'm stepping in and trying to hit to the throat and grab his arm. This isn't going to work. I'm working at cross purposes to myself. I'm not striking. I'm not throwing my body weight in there. And this kind of stuff is monkeying around, and it's going to get you hurt or killed, because all this is going to do is make him mad, and now I have a hold of an angry man instead of having a hold of a helpless, injured man, which is really what I want. So instead, I'm going to drive with my body weight and hit, and that hand will come up into my hand. And what I'm going to do here very quickly, I'm going to reverse the angle on this so that you can see exactly what's going on here, because I want to be very clear that I'm not reaching out to grab this, but rather I'm driving my body weight in, and his hand is simply flopping upwards, and I know where that's going to be, and I put my hand on that arc and I catch it. So very simple when you know the spinal reflexes in response to the injuries. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drive in, and I've crushed the throat here, and I've caught a hold of his hand here. And this is for two reasons. One, when I hit him in the throat like that with my entire body weight moving forward, he's going to want to continue backwards. He's going to want to continue backwards until he trips and falls down, or until he himself chooses to sit down, or for whatever reason. I don't want him to be 30 feet away from me. I can't hurt him effectively that far away without something like a gun or a different kind of tool. I need him to be right here. I know already in advance that when I strike him to the throat with my entire body weight like that, he's going to want to go away. And I need to do something to keep him here with me so that I can continue working on him. The other reason I grabbed a hold of this arm is because I want to break his wrist. But before we even get to that part, I want to throw him. And in order to throw him, I'm going to, at this point, choose to use his arm to assist me in that. But once again, what I'm really doing here, instead of a throw, is it's all about striking, because even your joint breaking and your throwing at its core is powered by all of the concepts and principles that we've talked about here that have to do with striking. It's going to be powered by your body weight. It's going to be powered by dropping that body weight in the gravity well to change potential energy to kinetic. It's the only way I can do any of this stuff. If I'm going to try and rely on strength with this stuff, I got to be stronger than everybody, but that's just not the case. There are always going to be people stronger than you. There are always going to be people bigger and heavier than you. You can't rely on strength alone. You're going to need to use your body weight. So now from here, I want to use my body weight to strike him into the ground. And the big idea here is I'm going to take my right arm, I'm going to step in, and I'm going to hook over the top like I'm throwing a big, wide haymaker. And I'm throwing this haymaker at the core of the planet. Now, Ron's problem is that his head is going to be between my body weight and the core of the planet. And so that means that he's going to hit his head nice and hard on the concrete. So I'm going to come around like I'm throwing a punch, because this is a strike. I'm going to come all the way around, catch him with the crook of my elbow, and now from here, this is all just me dropping my body weight straight down into a knee drop as I try to punch my fist straight down into the planet. And instead of me being able to do that, he hits his head nice and hard on the concrete. But from my point of view, I want to drive this punch all the way down with my body weight over the top of it. So he gets to swallow that kinetic energy up of my body weight dropping with the top of his spine and his head. He's off balance already. It's going to pitch him down. His feet are going to go up, and he's going to hit his head nice and hard on the concrete. That'll do things that I can't do with my bare hands, like give him a skull fracture. So at this point, now my goal is to do something with this arm that I grabbed a hold of, because I don't just simply want to throw it away. this can be useful to me. I can use this to cause further injury to him. And once again, this is all going to be powered with my body weight, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch this straight down so that his elbow, I'm going to essentially do my best to crack his elbow against the concrete, and bending the hand forward just like this so that I have the palm down, and that's going to be a base leverage 2 break of the wrist, which is flexion. And that's material that we've already covered in the joint breaking DVDs. But the idea here is, once again, this isn't simply about some kind of joint breaking technique. It is still powered by all the same concepts and principles that we talked about that are required for striking. Because everything that we're talking about with this idea of striking, that's where all the forces that you need are going to come from. They're going to come from your body weight. So I'm going to drive, what I'm going to do, once again, we run into this problem now. Where do I get the energy from? Because my knee is on the ground, I can't, it's difficult for me to drop vertically, I can't do that. But as we've talked about earlier, I'm going to be able to get that kinetic energy by dropping my body weight forward, by rocking forward on that femur. So that rocking back and forth, I have a choice. I can go forward with it, I can go back with it. Either of those is going to give me that weight drop. And in this case, I'm going to choose to go forward. So I'm going to drive this way. From all the way up here, I'm going to punch this down to the ground and drive forward. So this front knee is bending, my body weight is in transition over the top of this base 2 leverage, which is a flexion break, and driving straight down to crack the back of the elbow on the concrete and to tear out the ligaments and tendons in the wrist, breaking that wrist. Now, his reaction to that is going to be to curl up just like this toward that injury, if he's not outright unconscious from the throw and hitting his head on the ground. I'm going to stand up, rise up from here, because now I need to reload that potential energy. I'm going to rise up, and now I'm going to be stomping straight down as hard as I can into the side of the neck. And this is going to be my body weight, once again, over the top, coming straight down into that target. Now, it's very important to point out, when you're working on this joint break, that you don't try it on your friends or try it on your workout partner or your reaction partner in such a way that you're testing it to see, are you feeling it yet? Does it hurt? These kinds of things will lead to injuries in your partner. Likewise, this final stomp to the side of the neck is a very dangerous target to do, especially the amount of force that we're going to be able to load into it from way up here, stomping down with your body weight. There's a real good chance of getting a high cervical spine injury, which can be life-threatening. So you need to be aware of that. If you don't want to kill the man, don't stomp him to the side of the neck. Likewise, when you're working with your reaction partner, don't stomp him to the side of the neck. Take extreme caution. If I'm going to come and do this final target here, I'll make contact with the target, I'll be looking at the target, I'll be thinking about that follow through, thinking about dropping my weight, but I'm not going to do it to my workout partner because I could accidentally injure him. And at that point, I've done the final trauma I want to do, I'm all done, and I'm out of here.